Baby Lily lay in bed, her innocent blue eyes gazing upwards. Her tiny hands reached out playfully, babbling contentedly. Enoch, clad in his iron armor, felt the battlefield meld away under the force of her adorable presence. He looked at her with a mixture of surprise and affection. That was his first thought upon seeing the child, who looked exactly like him. She waved her hands innocently, letting out little ah sounds. Enoch was both astonished and apprehensive in the face of her innocence. Could she possibly know that I'm her father? He wondered. His trembling finger reached out to her tiny hand, and then her small hand grasped his finger. It was an irresistible pull, a bond of blood, and perhaps love. He gazed at the little angel in his arms. But then why? Enoch couldn't understand why he felt this way. Like other ability users in the Empire, this child was born purely out of a sense of duty to continue the family line. Like a horse bred for its pedigree, he had assumed he wouldn't feel anything. This creature should have been nothing more than a small being sharing his blood. A predetermined child who would grow up to be an ability user, a noble, and ultimately a soldier. A royal hound. Enoch's face darkened. He resolutely avoided looking at the small face in his hands. I can't let her live like I did, he vowed silently. He gave the baby a tender kiss. The desolate road stretched out before him, dark and cold. Enoch held his child, looking at the desolate surroundings, lost in thought. I can't let you live this life, this blood-soaked battlefield existence. He stepped outside, cautiously scanning his surroundings. Suddenly, a voice called out from behind him. Are you planning to run away? Selena stepped out, her face serious. And with the child, she demanded, what are you thinking, Enoch? He lowered his head. I don't want to raise her the way I was raised. Selena gave a bitter laugh. She's my child too. Enoch looked at his daughter for a moment, then proposed to Selena, then let's leave together. His words caught her off guard. Selena burst out laughing. I didn't expect you to be so impulsive. She stepped closer. We were born destined to die, as ability users and nobles of the Empire. She leaned close to his face. This child is no exception. Selena continued to express herself. Even so, I understand how you feel. Having a daughter, it really makes us think differently. Enoch gritted his teeth. I can't just give up. But then Selena brushed past him. Go, she said firmly, stopping him in his tracks. He was silent for a moment, looking at her, then said, I plan to go to Xenon, but I'm not sure if I'll stay there permanently. Selena gave a bittersweet smile. All right, good luck. Enoch ran off. On that day, the Empire's only swordsman, Enoch Ruby style, disappeared. And that was 7 years ago. 7 years later, the brown-haired man gently woke Lilith. Good morning, my princess. Time to wake up. Lilith rubbed her eyes. 5 more minutes. Her father persisted. No, it's time to brush your teeth and have breakfast. Enoch, wearing a cute cherry print apron and holding kitchen utensils, is James Brown. He gently strokes the head of the little girl who has just woken up. Good morning, sleepyhead, the super domestic dad says. Lily rubs her eyes. I'm not hungry, she mumbles. He coaxes her, come on now. I made your favorite scrambled eggs, extra delicious, just for you. Lily quickly sniffs the air. The clever little girl says, it's not just eggs. I smell broccoli too, causing James to freeze. Oops. Ugh, Lily exclaims, genuinely upset. I can't believe it. I told you I don't like broccoli. Enoch falls silent. My little princess, Lily, just 2 bites of broccoli today, okay? He then tries to bribe her. If you eat it, you can have chocolate and apple jam macarons for your afternoon snack. This causes Lily to gasp in mock horror. Huh, trying to bribe me with chocolate and apple jam macarons. Do you think I'll fall for that, Daddy? But then she relents. Fine, just 2 bites. Enoch breathes a sigh of relief. Good. Turns out you do fall for that. Lily puffs out her cheeks. 2 bites of broccoli is nothing. Enoch dotes on her and kisses her cheek. Who's Daddy's sweet little angel? My name is Lily Brown. I'm 7 years old, and I have a pretty special secret. As I grow older, I keep remembering my past life. Right now, I'm really enjoying these peaceful and happy days with my dad, James. He's a great teacher and a wonderful cook. Lily recounts her early childhood. 7-year-old Lily Brown here. I started remembering my past life around the age of 3, and now, at 7, I remember everything. The book, Dosa's Rebellion, including the world it's set in, is a fantasy novel I read in my past life. She recalls her past life as a girl with short black hair, sitting in a dark room using a laptop. In my past life, I wasn't a child. I was, a graduate student. I collapsed on the floor and died with my work unfinished. And honestly, that life wasn't fit for a human being. So, at the blossoming age of 25, I died from overwork, pulling an all-nighter to write my thesis. The unfinished words were still on the screen. The title of my thesis was, Back in the present, the little girl sits at the breakfast table. How stressed was I about that thesis to be reborn into the world of the very novel I was reading? She twirls her fork, thinking, before all my past life memories returned, I was just like any other kid. Even now, after remembering everything, my past life is pretty hazy unless I consciously try to recall it. I find myself completely immersed in my current life. Should I hide the broccoli under the chicken? She concludes, so, even though I can think like an adult, my childish dislike for broccoli hasn't changed one bit. After breakfast, Enoch sits down to brush her hair. He asks, what hairstyle do you want today? Bunny ears or princess style? Lily replies, Daddy, shouldn't I be tying my own hair now? A ponytail will do. He stops and laughs. My little princess is still a child. You're not even up to my waist yet. Lily quickly retorted, Dad, you know my body is just like this. For some reason, I'm smaller than even the 5-year-old next door. But I'm a smart kid with the mind of an adult. Even so, I shouldn't do things that seem strange to others, right? She finally made her choice. Okay, bunny ears it is. Bunny ears are good. After finishing, her father exclaimed, Oh, you're so cute. Whose daughter is this pretty little thing? Don't kiss me. Enoch said, All right, princess, Daddy needs to go to the market today, so please go play at the neighbor's house. I'll talk to Miss Susan. Why? Can't I go with you? He stood up and explained, Not today. There are scary soldiers wandering around out there, but it doesn't concern you. You don't have any powers, not even a tiny bit like an ant. Despite this, his decision remained unchanged. Still no, it's too dangerous. An image flashed in her mind. A large castle not far from the village. The scary soldiers her father mentioned were elite troops from the Imperial Royal Army. They came all the way to this rural area, hundreds of miles from the capital. The Imperial Army frequently came here searching for power users. Images of soldiers and peasants appeared. In the world of the Dose Rebellion, where I was reborn, people are divided into two groups. Those who can use magic, called power users, and those who can't, called the powerless. Two hands formed a triangle. Power users can live with the title of noble and receive preferential treatment. However, there's a hierarchical pyramid where individuals are discriminated against based on their abilities. Hands reached up amidst flames, as if pleading for salvation. War is frequent, and power users are often sent to where conflict arise. In this story, even the main characters are brutally killed. Ordinary people, or the powerless, can't even become supporting characters in this novel. Her father sat at the table, lost in thought. Father and I are like that. Ordinary brown hair and eyes. Even the name is very common, James Brown. Clearly, he's an extra character. Lily nudged the broccoli, smiling. But I quite like it. Being born ordinary is a great blessing, isn't it? Huh, what do you mean? She laughed brightly and continued, This world is scary. I like living a simple and happy life with Dad. Just the two of us. I'm happy. Enoch just looked at her silently, speechless. Then he patted his beloved daughter's head. That's right. As long as Daddy has his princess, Daddy is happy too. After breakfast, he said goodbye to her and Ms. Susan, then set off. Please take care of Lilith for me today. Daddy's princess. I'll be back soon. She sat playing with pine cones. At first, he didn't even know he was your father. Joe recounted while eating, a young man suddenly came to the mountain village, living quietly without speaking to anyone, as if carrying some kind of story. The woman added, Then one night, your father arrived, looking very pale, holding a newborn baby in his arms. That baby was you. Lilith remembered that moment, him rushing her to the woman's house. I'm sure the baby isn't sick, but she won't eat. She must be very hungry, but every time I try to feed her milk, she screams and cries. The woman took her in her arms and examined her. Let me see. Oh dear, why would you do that? She laughed heartily. Ha, the little one is suffering. Come inside quickly. She brought out a bowl of porridge. This is food for the baby. I mashed some apple and banana and mixed it into the baby formula. She watched him clumsily feed Lily. Now the baby can eat. He offered it to her, and she opened her mouth to accept. Seeing the baby eat, he was overjoyed. Even though the child is over 5 months old, she's only been drinking pre-mixed milk, getting tired of it. She must have been enduring hunger and expressing it in her own way. He laughed and continued. After that, he became very attentive. Every time my wife and I appeared from afar, he would run out to greet us. His father continued. He must have been very confused because it was his first time raising a baby. So after that day, he always asked and learned more about everything he needed help with. That's what being a house husband father is like. He picked up a card and looked at her. Haha, I win this time, kiddo. He placed the card on the table with a triumphant grin. Full house. Haha, a tiny hand placed itself on his, then confidently revealed her cards. Wait a minute. Hee hee, old geezer. After disappointing him, She nonchalantly turned away, not forgetting to tease. Let's play again tomorrow. I always welcome a challenge. Old geezer. What a cozy little house alone on the Pine Hill. It's strangely idyllic. Thank you, Auntie and Uncle. I had a lot of fun today. Lily picked up a basket of laundry, surprising the woman. Auntie, you should go back now. I'll do the laundry. What? Why would you do the laundry? Just leave it. Lily expressed her desire, and the woman was touched. I'll do it so Father doesn't have to do it himself when he gets back from the market. Oh my, Lily, you truly have a heart of gold, like a little angel. The woman reached out to help. Well then, I'll do it before I leave. This is the laundry, right? Oh no, you can't. Lily said innocently. Father's underwear is in there too. Oh dear. She walked step by step, thinking, Father doesn't like me secretly doing the laundry. Even so, I'll keep doing it. She remembered the image of Enoch carrying her on his back. It was very warm. In my past life, I was an orphan. The only memory I have of a kind guardian is my current father. Despite his young age, he took care of me himself, changing my diapers, feeding me, bathing me, and everything else. Day after day, the importance of Father always being by my side since I was little, when a bond formed, has been very meaningful to me. She continued walking. I'll grow up quickly and repay Father with filial piety. The clear blue sky shone down on the cool, flowing water. The life of an ordinary person is so peaceful. I wish every day were like this. There are two boys standing proudly, waving flags and pointing swords. Compared to my past life, nothing compares when a better world is established. I will simply enjoy a good life. Putting the clothes in the water, she began to wash them. In my past life, there wasn't a life like this. Compared to that, reincarnation is wonderful. Suddenly, a sound echoed around her, causing her to turn her head to look. The sound of horses' hooves in the village. From afar, she saw a group of people approaching. They stood before her innocent face. The men looked down at her menacingly. Did you notice the insignia on them? The Imperial insignia. This is the Imperial Army. Someone looked at her blue cloak. Are they the Dose-class Holy Knights of the Empire? Their sharp eyes stared at her. Then, an order was given to seize her. Someone used a small, dark blue object on Lilith. Ow, that hurts. He looked at the blue aura and said, she's a magic user. Seems she really is Enoch Trupstein's daughter. The knight lifted Lily into the air. Me, a magic user. There must be some mistake. Just by looking, it's obvious. Lily cried out, struggling. Please, put me down. Put me down. Where is Enoch Rubinstein? Who what? It hit her. Why was that name coming up now? She remembered a white-haired character in the novel with the same name. The name was in the novel The Rebellion of Dose. He was the commander of the Holy Knights of Dose, the strongest military force in the story. A Dose-ranked Holy Knight, a swordsman, and a duke. The strongest character in the story. In his youth, he lost his young daughter to the royal family. And then one day, he sharpened his sword for revenge. Enoch knelt down, extending his hand towards the boy. At that point, he took in another male lead character, Chester, as his adopted son. He was one of the two main characters. Putting the pieces together, this person is looking for Enoch Rubinstein and his daughter. So it seems like this is before the events in the original story begin. His daughter must still be alive, right? But what does that have to do with me? It doesn't matter. Lily continued to struggle. Hey, wait a minute. You made a huge mistake. She felt dizzy and raised a hand to her head, trying not to be sick. First of all, I'm dizzy. All the blood is rushing to my head. Could you put me down? He said nothing, silently looking at her. Black hair and blue eyes. There seemed to be a character like this in the novel. But who is it? I'm in a tough spot here. First of all, Lily said after Aaron put her down so she could explain, you're talking about Enoch Rubinstein, the Duke who is also a holy knight and a swordsman, right? Silver hair and blue eyes. Yes. She confidently explained through the dizziness. I might resemble that person because of my black hair and blue eyes. But my father's name is James Brown, not Enoch something. Dad said my hair and eyes are like my mother's, who left home a long time ago. He said coldly, you're well educated. Then a voice called out her name, Lilith. She turned and cried out, Father. Enoch. He walked towards them, worried and afraid for his daughter's safety, a stick clutched in his hand. What are you doing? If you don't want to die, put my daughter down. Lily was shocked and trembling. Father, are you crazy? Don't you know who these people are? Disrespecting a high-ranking noble is grounds for immediate execution, and you're threatening to kill him. Mister, Father, he's not in his right mind. Terrified, she pleaded, I'm so sorry. My father can't live without me. I think he's just temporarily lost his mind. If you could forgive him, I'd be eternally grateful. He paid no attention to her rambling, staring intently at her father. No matter how he looked at him, he was just an ordinary citizen of the Empire. A 27-year-old single father living in a mountain village, scraping by with his daughter by collecting firewood. Excuse me, but Aaron tossed Lily to another knight and walked towards Enoch. Despite her cries of, hey, stop, please don't hurt my father. he said coldly. Perhaps those things aren't true. Enoch raised his stick defensively. Why are you here? Let my daughter go, he seriously reported. Enoch Rubinstein, the Emperor requests your immediate return to the forces and the fulfillment of your duty. Hearing Lilith still stubbornly explaining, no, but I told you, my father's name isn't Enoch, that's something or other. Enoch's face darkened. It's been 7 years. Isn't it time to stop this? Your wanted posters are everywhere. You know better than anyone. According to Pavilion military law, deserters are immediately executed until their whereabouts are confirmed. They're considered fugitives and classified as Class A criminals. Aaron continued, however, His Majesty, in his wisdom, has respected your past contributions and abilities. Despite violating military law, no arrest warrant has been issued for you. Your title and assets haven't been seized either. Lily started to get confused. Wait a minute, why are they talking about things I don't understand at all? All of your illegal actions have been overlooked, and we've been waiting for you. It's time for you to return. He further threatened. Disobeying the Emperor's orders is tantamount to seeking death. The two faced each other. Once again, I will relay the Emperor's words. His eyes icy. He remained silent, then scoffed. She trembled, too afraid to speak. The Emperor's words are still so flamboyant, aren't they? Just like before. What? Whose words? The Emperor's. Mocking the nobility and insulting the royal family. You've really gone too far. He looked at him, smirking. Isn't it time the Emperor was more honest? That day, it was simply about keeping his dog in its kennel. He's back, right? Lily bit the knight's hand. I need to stop this, fight back, and run away before things get worse. He pushed her down, worried. Lily. She quickly ran to him. Father. But he grabbed her. Enoch yelled, damn it. Let her go. Wait, father. Please be quiet. Lilith turned back, earnestly apologizing. Then, clasping her hands, she pleaded, Sir, I'm sorry. I'm truly sorry. Please spare my father's life. She continued, hoping he would show mercy to this kind man. It's all because of my hair color. I understand why you're mistaken. I'll go with you. I'll cooperate with this investigation, and then you'll see that it's not true. Enoch Rubinstein, why does that name sound like mine? And actually, I know about this energy thing. I'll check everything, make sure that person is hiding somewhere. I'll even help you find him. Hands still clasped, eyes red-rimmed. So please, spare my father's life just this once. I'll go with you. Please, I beg you. Aaron's eyes widened, as if sensing something. He held her tighter. He found it strange. She turned to look. Her beloved father, now surrounded by magic. Father, weapon in hand, seething with anger. Is that it? Lilith gaped at her father. Huh. Blue light emanated from his eyes. He looked up, his eyes now blue, his hair white. The 27-year-old single father living in a mountain village, raising his daughter alone, James. Is that really you? Aaron handed Lilith to a knight in the group and ordered, ensure her safety. Fall back and wait for me. The knight immediately replied, yes, sir. Lilith clutched the knight's coat, anxiously thinking, that's the person they were asking about earlier. She continued to think. This man was just serious, performing his duty. Then she hesitantly said, I'm sorry. I just learned about this myself. Suddenly, a surge of blue power was released. Lilith looked towards the source of the power in astonishment. She saw Enoch continuously slashing blue-white sword beams towards Ashen. He said in surprise, huh? Enoch scoffed. Disobeying orders means death. You must think that's laughable. Ashen could only block the sword beams with his own sword. He was pushed back, angrily cursing, damn it. As Enoch swung his sword, he asked, how do you plan to restrain me? Aaron struggled to block Enoch's sword beams, groaning what? Enoch angrily asked, how dare you touch my daughter? Aaron could only grit his teeth and defend himself. The knight holding Lilith grabbed her collar and lifted her into the air. He held his sword to her throat and yelled, stop right there, Enoch Rubinstein. Enoch cried out in alarm as Lilith was used as leverage. Surrender peacefully and come with us. If you do, your daughter's life will be spared. Enoch frowned angrily and replied, using my daughter to threaten me. The holy knights are truly pathetic. Ashen knelt and said, we are merely carrying out the Emperor's orders. His Majesty has decreed that Enoch Rubinstein must be brought back at all costs. Enoch turned his head away and replied, I've abandoned that name. I no longer intend to live according to the whims of the royal family. Tell your master that. Ashen stood up and said, I'm not giving you a choice. He pointed his sword at Enoch's throat and declared, this is an order. She yelled, trying to stop everyone. All right, wait a minute. Lilith thought to herself, summarizing the situation. My father, who I thought was an insignificant character, is actually the hidden protagonist, Enoch Rubinstein. She continued her thought process, so I'm part of his story. In other words, Lilith recalled his younger days. He lost his young daughter because of the royal family. And then one day, he sharpened his sword for revenge. She thought again, and now he's taking care of that daughter. Is this real? I want my ordinary, peaceful life. The brown-haired knight watched Lilith silently monologue internally. Everything is clear now, since I already know how the story unfolds. I only have one choice. Then she smiled sweetly, clapped her hands, and said, of course, if it's the Emperor's order, then we should obey. She continued, leaving everyone dumbfounded. Father will return to the night order today, won't he? Later, at Lily's house, she was frantically thrashing on the floor, yelling in reproach, I look like Mother. I look like her. She screamed, why didn't you tell me? Why? Why? Enoch sadly replied, I'm sorry. My little princess, I'm truly sorry. Even with 10 mouths, I wouldn't have any excuse. Then he suddenly smiled. But, my daughter, Enoch lifted the pouting Lilith into his arms and praised her. Who do you take after to be so clever? You thought so quickly in that situation. Thanks to my princess, we have more time. The Holy Order's knights are waiting outside. Enoch chuckles, addressing Lilith. Those fools actually believed I'd return and release the hostage. He cheerfully gathers his belongings into a satchel. As long as my princess is safe, I fear nothing. Now, hurry up and pack your things. Let's go. Lilith, sweating, stares at him, thinking, wait, is this really happening? No matter how I look at it, he's just a goofy villager. I guess he only seems scary because they threatened to hurt me. Lilith sighs. Father, we need to talk. Enoch replies, all right. She suggests, making him pause, let's not run. Let's go back to the Empire, back to the Knights. Enoch asks, surprised, huh? Lilith answers firmly, I want to live with pride. She clenches her fists. I want to go to the capital with you. I'll enroll in the academy, train my abilities, and receive a user badge. I am an ability user, after all. Enoch asks worriedly, what are you talking about? How do you know about the academy and all that? Lilith brings a hand to her mouth, flustered. Uncle Cho told me. Enoch exclaims in alarm, what? How does he know? And why would he tell you that? What was he thinking, discussing this with a child? Enoch pauses, as if struggling to find the right words. He then places his hands on Lilith's shoulders. Lilith, listen carefully to what I'm about to say. The truth is, I always knew this day would come. That frightening people, like those outside, would come looking for us. She hesitantly replies, yes, Father. He continues, even though I knew, we still ran. Enoch explains sadly, because I didn't want you to grow up as an ability user. He continues, the life of an ability user, or the life of a noble, may seem glamorous, but what you see isn't the whole truth. Enoch explains, in the Pavilion Empire, ability users are treated like royalty. He continues, depending on their rank and expertise, they are granted titles, vast lands, and mountains of gold. They command obedience and compliance. He goes on, but these privileges come with obligations. They must become the Empire's swords, shields, and scepters, sacrificing their lives in service. As members of the Royal Elite League, he continues, in a nation where every day is a conquest, hunting monsters, the Elite League is constantly deployed to the battlefield. They're nothing more than glorified war slaves. He adds, ability users are both nobles and warriors, soldiers and mages, spending almost their entire lives on a battlefield. Lilith listens silently. Enoch says, sadly, and the battlefield is a terrifying place. He recalls standing before a grave. The friend I just greeted the day before died and was brought back the same day. Burying him, I wondered, who will die tomorrow? How long will I live? Enoch calls to her, Lilith, I'm scared. He says, I don't want you to live a life like mine. Lilith calls out, Father. Enoch recounts, Lilith, the day I first saw you, 7 years ago, when you were just born. That was the day you became my whole world. He embraces her. I can't bear the thought of losing you. Lilith hugged him and called him father. She thought, I understand you more than anyone, and I also want to fulfill your wishes. But she silently affirmed, if you don't return, this country will collapse. That's right, Enoch Rubinstein can't stay here. Lilith thought, following the original plan, father returns to the Knights to avenge his daughter. He adopts the male lead, Chester. She continued to remember, he plans a coup, meticulously from within the Knights, and starts the rebellion in this country. Lilith bowed her head, thinking because in about 15, she recalled, the royal family carried out widespread genocide against those without abilities. A true genocide against those without magical abilities. Lilith looked at Enoch. She silently affirmed, the only one who can stop it is you, Father. She took his hand and continued thinking, if we run away together now, you won't adopt Chester, the main character, or start a rebellion against the royal family. She remembered Uncle Joe and his wife's faces and thought, and then everything will fall apart. Innocent commoners will all die. Lilith silently affirmed, that's right. I can't just live like this, always running and hiding, and watch the country collapse. She grabbed Enoch's sleeve and called, Father. She asked him, do you want me to live a life on the run? Enoch, bewildered, replied, it's not like that. But you said you wanted to live a simple life. Just the two of us. Lilith turned her head, pouted, and said, well, I've changed my mind. He asked, surprised, what do you mean? She smiled brightly and said, ability users are nobles, right? And I'm your daughter, so I'm the most powerful noble, right? Enoch looked at the excited Lilith in astonishment and asked, you can eat macarons every day, wear dresses and bows too, right? She clasped her hands together and thought, if that's the case, I should use my memories, my past life, to accelerate things. Meet Chester sooner and ensure the rebellion succeeds. Having thought this, Lilith said cheerfully, I want to be a noble. I want to be a real princess. At this moment, the little girl looked radiant, like a flower blooming before her father. Meanwhile, in her head, she was strategizing. If that's the case, I should use my memories, my past life, to accelerate things. Meet Chester sooner and help ensure the rebellion succeeds. So, she decided to open her eyes wide and sparkle them. And in an extremely cute tone, she said, I want to be a noble. I want to be a real princess. Then, looking straight up at him, she gripped his hand excitedly. The naive little girl said, when we go back, you won't have to work hard chopping wood and selling it at the market anymore. And I won't have to wait for you to come home all the time. And I won't have to do laundry either. Lilith spoke so quickly that Enoch seemed quite bewildered. He hesitated slightly, then mentioned the housework. He was kneeling, holding out his hands in confusion. He asked, I said you didn't have to do laundry, but you still do it. At that moment, the little girl suddenly stamped her foot hard on the ground. Although, in truth, Lilith felt very conflicted. But for the greater good, the little girl had to pretend. Mustering all her strength, she shouted, why didn't you tell me? Why do I feel so heartbroken right now? I'm overwhelmed with disappointment and shock. I can only call out for Lilith, but she's still determined to ask more. Why don't you want me to live as an ability user? What if I want to live as an ability user, as a noble? Why don't you even ask me what I think? Lilith looks incredibly frustrated at this point. Her eyes are wide, staring straight at me, welling up like she's about to cry. Seeing her getting upset, Enoch tries to approach and comfort her, princess, but she stubbornly refuses, shouting, I don't want you to be the only one who calls me that. I really want to be a princess. Then Lilith resorts to her ultimate tactic. She says something that pierces Enoch's heart. I'm not your daughter. The words shock him. What did you just say? Using the tactic of denying her hidden identity, she continues her psychological attack. I'm not James's daughter. I'll be Duke Enoch's daughter. If you don't want to go, I'll ask those uncles outside to take me. At this point, Enoch is speechless, frozen, feeling like everything is collapsing. A sense of helplessness washes over him, his eyes filled with astonishment. Finally, unable to persuade her any further, Lilith dramatically kneels before him, bowing her head in acceptance, looking utterly pitiful. Fine. Defeated, Enoch has no choice but to personally take Lilith. The scene shifts. Lilith's thoughts appear, showing her beloved home filled with childhood memories. Standing in the carriage, she leans out the window, wistfully watching everything pass by. I never thought I'd have to leave like this. Now my normal, rural life is truly over. The carriage slowly moves through the warm sunlight out of the mountains. The further they go, the more she contemplates what awaits her. Suddenly, Lilith, her eyes drooping, clutches her father's hand and starts to slump. Just as he suspected, she loses consciousness. The carriage jolts, causing her head to fall abruptly onto his hand. Fortunately, Enoch reacts quickly, catching her and holding her tightly. He asks in alarm, Lilith, are you all right? She stirs, stammering, Father, what was that? Outside, Ashen observes the surroundings and warns, they're werewolves, shocking Enoch. You're kidding, right? Lilith, overhearing their conversation, is also somewhat aware of the situation. Her eyes widen in shock. Vuvere volves. He can't let Aaron go alone. He has a responsibility too. Before going out, he instructs Lilith, Princess, stay here. Don't move. You mustn't go outside, no matter what happens. He emphasizes, absolutely do not look outside. In his haste, Lilith doesn't understand. She calls out in a panic, wait, where are you going, Father? He quickly stepped forward, addressing the carriage guard, then swiftly placed his hand on Ashen's shoulder, entrusting him with a grave responsibility. If anything happens to my daughter, even a scratch, you're dead. But Ashen, not one to stand idly by, questioned, you're fighting them yourself. Isn't that unnecessary? Likely fearing Ashen's inability to handle the situation quickly, Enoch decided to take matters into his own hands. He stood before the pack of werewolves, their sharp claws poised to tear him apart. Fearing for her father's safety, Lilith frantically banged on the carriage window, screaming, Father, why are you just standing there? Help my father. The driver, under strict orders to remain at his post, replied, he can handle it himself. Lilith, shocked and disbelieving, could hardly process the words. Meanwhile, Enoch prepared for battle, activating his sword, which erupted in a deep blue flame. He unleashed a powerful blow, slashing through the air and striking a fatal wound upon one of the bloodthirsty monsters, sending crimson blood splattering everywhere. Lilith and Ashen, from a distance, witnessed the entire scene. Blood sprayed in all directions. Inside the carriage, Lilith watched in stunned amazement. What is this? The power of the strongest person in the world. The difference between reading about it and actually witnessing it was immense. A noble family, producing only the most powerful ability users. The foundation of the aristocracy. The Empire's sole swordsman. The silver wolf of the battlefield. The undefeated warrior. Having finished his battle with the pack of werewolves, Enoch, showing no signs of distress, merely rubbed his shoulder and coldly asked, "I told you to protect the carriage. Why were you just standing there?" Lilith's thoughts continued to race, reflecting on her father. That extraordinary existence had been described some 5,000 times. The true power of the male lead. Ashen, seemingly annoyed, approached Enoch, muttering, "It would have only taken a moment. This is a waste of mana." Enoch, enraged, grabbed Ashen by the collar, exclaiming, "Unbelievable." Lilith, still in a state of shock, stared wide-eyed, her face blank. The surrounding atmosphere seemed rosy. Wasn't this title upgrade a bit excessive? In the blink of an eye, I've become the daughter of the strongest person in the world. At the El Farah Temple, with its elegant structure and gentle sunlight filtering through the trees, Lilith revealed their purpose. We came here to use the temple's transfer gate, something only found in large cities, to go to the capital. Since commoners aren't allowed into the capital wearing ordinary clothes, I changed into a different outfit. Donning her new dress, Lilith happily beamed, lifting it and exclaiming, "It's so soft." It felt like a title upgrade overnight. The soldiers, seeing her new appearance, were surprised. "Little one, you're 7 years old, right? You're so small." Lilith replied, "Yes, I'm 7. A platinum-haired man, stroking his chin curiously, asked, "Does Enoch starve you?" Lilith quickly denied it. Then the two men bombarded her with questions. "So do you get scolded? Is your father scary?" Another chimed in, "What's he like when he's angry? Have you ever been hit?" Slightly overwhelmed, Lilith softly asked, "When does my father scold me?" Touching her face thoughtfully, she replied, "When I hide broccoli under my chicken, or when he catches me sneaking chocolate after I've brushed my teeth." Incredulous, the two men exclaimed, "Wow, you're still so young." "That's understandable. He raises you strictly." The other man replied, "Of course, it's the Enoch Rubin style. Did you think he'd spoil his child?" At that moment, Lilith immediately defended him, saying, "My father wouldn't do that." Since the two soldiers had been speculating, they were both suspicious. "Is that all? He can tear a bear apart with his bare hands." Hearing about her father's terrifying power, the little girl cried out in surprise, "Whoa." The platinum-haired soldier raised his hand thoughtfully. "He's cold, but how cold is he? He used to be someone very difficult to approach." Both of them turned around and said, "Wasn't he quite—" As she recalled the character introductions, she realized, so that's it. Just as I suspected, he's a major character in the original story. So that person is Ashen. With a handsome face like that, there's no way he's a side character. Remembering the recent events, the two soldiers whispered to each other. The brown-haired one asked, "Did Duke Enoch just try to kill the commander?" The platinum-haired one replied, "Not quite. But if anything had happened, it definitely would have been murder." Suddenly, a hand touched the door. Lilith ran towards the door, recognizing "Father's here," and called out, "Father." Hearing the commotion, the two soldiers straightened up. As the door opened, she exclaimed in awe, "Wow." She was completely captivated by Enoch's beauty. With his white hair, blue eyes, and handsome face, she thought to herself, even if I hadn't read the novel, I would have known right away that Father is the main character. Seeing her, he gently bowed his head and called Lily. Surprised, she replied, "Yes, Father." But before she could react, he lifted her up high, exclaiming, "Such an angel." Then he muttered to himself, "This can't be happening. Because you're an angel. That's your true identity, my princess." Lilith was starting to get shocked. She thought, here we go again. Unlike his stern demeanor as a leader, Enoch now dropped all pretense and simply admired his daughter. He nuzzled his face against her cheek, rubbing it repeatedly, his happiness overflowing. "My daughter looks like this, while I always make her wear rags." Lilith wanted to say, "I'm sorry, Father. I was wrong," but instead, she just replied, "No, they're not rags." Ignoring the two soldiers swooning beside them, a young man standing with his arms crossed in the corner commented hesitantly, "A bit much, isn't it?" He then said, "Don't waste any more time. Let's go." Enoch was about to give his darling a kiss, which made her flustered. He quickly picked her up and stepped into the portal. After stepping through, they were instantly transported to a magnificent and imposing castle, causing Lilith to exclaim, "Ah." The Emperor, seeing him appear, came forward to greet him. "Greetings, Duke Enoch. You've truly returned." He politely replied, "It's been a while, Your Highness." Then he bowed before Lilith and said, "May the blessings of Primera be upon you." The other nobles, seeing this, rushed up and asked, Duke Enoch, are you planning to return home immediately? Another added, shouldn't we hold a welcoming ceremony? But he turned and simply walked away. He added one last remark. We've made preparations after receiving the news of your return. He didn't refuse, but being occupied with other matters, he said, the Imperial family will hold a welcoming ceremony. Correct. Then I shall see you all there. The two fathers exchanged knowing glances. Enoch, his eyes cold, explained, today's journey has been long, and I'm worried my daughter is tired. Stepping outside, the sky was a brilliant blue, sunlight glinting off the clouds. The little girl, experiencing the bustling cityscape for the first time, exclaimed excitedly, wow, there are so many people. The captain reminded him, don't wander off, head straight home. Enoch, his arm around Lilith, replied, we're in the capital. Don't wander off yourself. Come on, let's go. Mimicking her father, the little girl waved to the soldiers. Concerned about her fatigue, Enoch asked, Princess, are you sure you don't want to take a carriage? He then addressed Lilith directly, it's a 15-minute walk home. Do you need me to carry you? The little girl, asserting her independence, replied, I'm a big girl now. If you keep carrying me, I'll forget how to walk. I can walk. I want to see more of the capital. Still not entirely reassured, Enoch asked, but if your feet hurt, tell me immediately, okay? Lilith, feeling more confident, replied, okay. Then her face turned serious, her eyes wide with concentration. All right, let's begin. Focus. The main character, no longer needing to think about revenge for his daughter, Enoch Rubinstein, thought, I made a huge mistake losing the opportunity to start the story. To fix it, I need to follow the original plot. From now on, at any cost. His thoughts were interrupted by a voice. The citizens bowed their heads respectfully. Thank you very much, sir. Glory to Primera. Enoch, feeling uncomfortable, said all right. Lilith, clearly displeased, looked back at them as they walked away. I knew this would happen, but this is ridiculous. What kind of country makes its people kneel when greeting someone? This led her back to her thoughts. If this world wasn't so outrageously oppressive, the main character wouldn't have needed to start a rebellion, and I wouldn't have a topic for my essay. So, the first thing I need to do is find the other main character, Chester, and make sure he meets Father. Father can't start a rebellion in this rotten empire on his own. He needs Chester's help. Lilith recalled specific details she'd found, but there's a problem with the current situation. She struggled to remember the details. He started as the bullied, illegitimate child of a noble, but was noticed and adopted by Enoch Rubinstein. Frustrated, she rubbed her forehead. What exactly was that chance encounter? Their first meeting wasn't mentioned in the book, so I'm not sure how they met. And since my daughter is alive, it's highly likely I won't pay attention to Chester. Therefore, I need to orchestrate a meeting between them. While she was lost in thought, I suddenly noticed her gaze drift to the left, lost amidst the vast sea of people. Lilith simply muttered in frustration. It's like searching for a needle in a haystack. As we were walking, we passed by a dark alleyway. There was a shadowy figure inside. Lilith, finding it strange, pointed and called out, Father, what's over there? But I didn't seem too concerned, simply saying, it's nothing. Probably just a brawl. Since the security forces are patrolling, we don't need to worry. Let's go, Princess. But she was insistent, Father, someone is fighting. We need to stop them, don't we? I patted Lilith's head and said, that's true, but I don't want my princess in danger. But she remained determined, confidently saying, don't worry, Father. Let's go. It's okay. You're very strong, so it'll be fine, right? That reassured me, and I replied, I suppose so. Then I led Lilith into the alley. Seeing the situation inside, she cried out, there was a group of kids. But what stunned her was that they were just children, yet they were able to beat up another boy so badly. She shouted, what are you two doing? The boy just stared wide-eyed, helpless. Stay there, Lilith. I charged in with Enoch. She yelled, threatening the youths, you brats. The boys knelt down. Greetings, sir. May the glory and blessings of Primera be upon you. I said, all right, what's going on here? One boy pointed at the dazed boy sitting there. He said, we apologize for the disturbance. That commoner brat didn't greet us, so... Those words infuriated Lilith. She angrily retorted, you hit someone because they didn't greet you, and you're just a child. The boy stared blankly. From Octava. Octava being the 4th rank out of the 6 ranks among those who wield abilities. She was taken aback, almost sarcastic. She wanted to teach them a lesson. You think you can hit someone like that just because you wield abilities? The two brats didn't respect her words. You can hit someone like that, can't you? Of course we can. Not wanting things to escalate, Enoch intervened. Stop fighting and leave. The adult's voice made the two boys obey. Yes, sir, for the greatest glory of Primera. I said just go. Yes, sir. Lilith felt proud of her father. A rebellion is truly necessary, father. She said, life in the Empire is so wonderful. Then Enoch worriedly asked her, little princess, do you know? She flinched. Oh, right. Wait a minute. Immediately after, Lilith gently approached the boy who had been beaten. Are you all right? He had external injuries from the physical assault. With his characteristic black hair and red pupils, she wanted to show him some concern, gently offering a cloth to wipe the wounds. Here, wipe the blood first. However, Lilith's kindness was met with a cold brush-off from the boy. She seemed a little scared. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for suddenly touching you. I'll leave the handkerchief here. Lilith couldn't ignore the boy. She glanced at his delicate face, etched with both psychological and emotional pain. Hongming only saw that the child was being beaten. It felt wrong to think this way, though. But isn't he too handsome? Suddenly, as Lilith observed him more closely, she realized something. Wait, black hair and red eyes. If this really is the world of the novel, there's one absolute rule. Background characters aren't this handsome. So this child must be Chester. Overwhelmed with excitement, she blurted out, what's your name? Chester stood up as Enoch, feeling sorry for him, asked, are you all right, lad? Can you stand? He showed concern, but Chester seemed oblivious to everything around him. He just walked away unconsciously. Enoch called after him, wait, little one. Chester's instincts wouldn't allow anyone to touch him. He brushed off Enoch's hand. Lilith called out, wait a minute, but Enoch stopped her. Enoch gently explained, that's right, little princess. There are many who don't like nobles. Reassured, she replied, oh, I see. He noticed the boy's clear discomfort. Let's leave it at this. Enoch's worried gaze, fixed on Chester, moved Lilith. Yes, this must be the world of the novel. The main plot is unfolding naturally. This must be the first encounter between the two main characters, described as coincidental. Come on, princess. Okay. As they strolled down the street, Lilith suddenly called out, Father. Enoch replied, yes, my little princess. What is it? She innocently asked, can I be friends with anyone I want? He didn't understand her meaning. What do you mean? The incident seemed to have unsettled Lilith. I'm a noble. Does that mean I can't be friends with commoners? Hearing the sadness in his daughter's voice, he held her hand tighter and affectionately said, no, Lilith. His eyes softened as he advised her. Whether noble, commoner, someone with abilities, or without, it doesn't matter. As long as you're happy, you can be friend with anyone. Lilith was surprised. Really? He reassured her, of course. Then, her main worry surfaced. That boy from earlier. I don't know where he went. I'm not sure why, but I'm worried and keep thinking about him. Enoch asked, are you that curious about someone you just met? A naive yet melancholic smile touched her face. Yes, I think I want to be friends with him. Father, can you help me find him? I'm curious if his wounds are being treated, and I want to talk to him. Hearing his little girl's plea, Enoch chuckled. Ha, my dear. He lifted Lilith onto his shoulders and gently stroked her head. My little angel, I'll help you find him. Embracing each other warmly, he said, of course. We should do that. Have I ever said no to you, my princess? Lilith rejoiced. Yay, father is the best. Thank you. However, she still felt uneasy. If the original story is still unfolding, Chester should be at Marquis Onyx's house now. I know where he is, so wait for me, Chester. I'll find you as soon as possible. That evening, at Marquis Onyx's mansion, father and son argued. Jonathan, have you lost your mind? Or were you thinking throwing that child away? The two of them were arguing when Chester managed to get out there. Jonathan argued with his father. I can't stand having that brat in this house. His father yelled back, shut your mouth. What do you want me to do, huh? If we just throw him out carelessly, what will happen if he's caught in a random ability user inspection? He was exasperated. If they find out he's an ability user, it's only a matter of time before they investigate his family and find out he's my blood. If that happens, I won't just be the father of an illegitimate child, but the one who threw him away like trash. But Jonathan wouldn't accept that. You're not planning to announce the existence of that bastard child to the whole world, are you? He shouted. That's why we'll lock him up and raise him in secret, Jonathan insisted. Then just kill him without anyone knowing. He couldn't accept it. I can't even stand to breathe the same air as him. Hearing that, his father flinched, speechless. The Marquis could only walk out, adding, don't try anything like that again. I won't interfere in any other matters. After his father calmly left, Jonathan's resentful gaze fell upon the frail Chester. He continued to vent his anger with his fists. You filthy brat. Chester unconsciously saw Jonathan's attack coming. He was too exhausted from enduring the situation. His movements were slowing down. The boy doubted himself. Does someone like me really have any power? Just because I'm the child of an ability user. Resignation pushed Chester to not fight back. He closed his eyes. I'm so tired. I just want it all to end. As expected, Chester took the full brunt of Jonathan's forceful punch. He collapsed onto the cold floor with no blanket to cover him. Resignation had gone beyond the limits of a boy his age, an age meant for protection, forcing him to be strong. He thought to himself, dying would be so much easier. But am I too afraid of what comes after death? Chester unconsciously clutched the handkerchief from that morning. He remembered the girl who had helped him feel safer. Sorry for suddenly touching you. I'll leave the handkerchief here. He thought back to the noble girl's handkerchief. Why did I even take it? His last thought before losing consciousness. I just want to die. Meanwhile, Lilith was awestruck by the scene before her. The royal palace, with its shimmering white gold gate, looked like the gates of heaven to her. The palace within retained its old charm. The very sight of it was captivating and alluring with its golden splendor. It's so huge. Then, Enoch was about to open the door when Lilith stopped him. Father, wait a minute. He asked her what was wrong, and her face showed a mixture of surprise and shock. I need to prepare myself mentally. He chuckled, teasing her. Ha, there's nothing to worry about, little princess. But Lilith was still a child at heart. Aren't you worried, father? It's been 7 years since you last saw your family. Upon receiving the news that the lord and the princess would be returning home, the butler and servants bustled about in preparation, respectful and courteous. They missed Enoch, their young master, dearly. Butler Jem was moved to see Enoch after so long. Young master, you've truly returned. He replied, greeting him, Mr. Jem, it's been a while, hasn't it? Jem became excited upon noticing Lilith's presence. Oh my goodness, this is the young master's daughter. Oh, I can't believe it. He adored the little girl and was overjoyed to meet her. So Lilith politely curtsied to the royal family. Greetings. My name is Lilith. Her adorable politeness charmed Jem, who bowed in return. It's a pleasure to meet you, Lilith. My name is Romina Santos. Please call me Jem, Lily. She was further doted upon by the servants. The small, well-behaved, and adorable girl elicited exclamations. Oh my, the young miss is like an angel. She looks just like the young master. How lovely. Then Enoch asked, are we planning to stand out here all day? Jem quickly regained his composure. Oh dear, where are my manners? My sincerest apologies, young master and Miss Lilith. In all my 55 years, I've never experienced such a moving moment. Enoch told them not to make such a fuss. Jem calmly guided them inside. We heard the news that the Holy Knights were ordered by the royal family to bring the young master back. But truly, none of us, not even a master of the house, dared to hope too much. Enoch jokingly interjected, I bet he'll be shocked to see me. Jem replied, of course. He'll be overjoyed. Listening to the conversation between the butler and her father, Lilith felt a bit bewildered. Father's father. Whenever he appears, his presence is overwhelming. Noddick Rubinstein is a true nobleman like my father. Grandfather possesses a dose-level ability. While I read about him, his pride seemed to emanate from the pages. In the novel, he was incredibly kind to Chester, pretending indifference, but secretly arranging everything from the shadows. Having only read the novel, Lilith remained uncertain. I hope he'll be as kind to me, but perhaps that's asking too much. Then Jem added, oh, by the way, Lady Adia is also here. Enoch seemed slightly surprised. My sister. Jem confirmed yes. Lady Adia believed that the young master would return. She's been staying with the master for the past 2 weeks. Lilith was shocked by this family revelation. I knew father had an older sister, but she was never mentioned in the story. This is the first time I've heard her name. Is this really happening? Before she knew it, father and daughter had reached the main gate. Jem instructed them, I'll inform the kitchen to prepare a feast, the grandest we've ever had. How exciting. When the gates opened, a new world unfolded before Lilith. She was overwhelmed, her eyes wide with wonder at everything she saw. It was a palace like something out of Greek myth. Everything was perfectly in place. Golden lights adorned the grand hall, adding shimmering color. The rare metals were intricately crafted. Lilith gazed at everything. Is that real gold? It must be real gold, right? Noticing his daughter's silence, Enoch asked, what's wrong, princess? She replied, oh, nothing, father. She thought to herself, James Brown not only hid his powers, but also his immense wealth. Lilith grew more anxious with each step up the stairs. Father's walking straight ahead. Isn't this a bit too confident? I'm so worried. Help! Without warning, Enoch suddenly opened a door, startling the unprepared Lilith. Father! She exclaimed. They had finally reunited with their family. Enoch's sister and father were there to greet them. Adia gasped when she saw her brother. Oh my God, Enoch! Lilith's father cheerfully greeted, I've returned, father, making Lilith want to hide. His presence was truly formidable. How intimidating. The small girl shrank under the gaze of 2 of the most powerful people. He approached Enoch. The air grew heavy with anticipation before Noddick spoke. My son, While he was fuming, his son, Enoch, further provoked him. "Father, you've aged considerably compared to before. It pains me." He then lifted his cane as if to strike him like when he was a child. "You little rascal." But Noddick stopped him. "There's a child present." Lilith was terrified, witnessing the most imposing figure she had read about in the Code of Conduct. Her body couldn't control the fear. Seeing him for the first time, Lilith could only clutch her father's coat. Noddick asked, "Is that your daughter?" Enoch replied, "Indeed, uncle. She's my princess." Noddick's eyes scrutinized Lilith. "You raised her yourself for 7 years without a word to the family, unsure whether you were alive or dead." Lilith understood. Of course, he's probably thinking I separated them for 7 years. If I were him, I'd probably hate me too. I expected this reaction. She felt like crying. "Lilith, don't be discouraged, you fool. It's only natural. I don't want to be hated, though." Suddenly she trembled. I'm sorry." Enoch was startled. "Princess, Lilith, why are you apologizing?" He then sternly addressed his father. "Father, please soften your expression. You're frightening my little princess." But Noddick ignored him. Silence. Lilith's fear hadn't subsided. She saw him reach out towards her. Is he really going to hit me? She squeezed her eyes shut. The reality wasn't as frightening as she imagined. Behind the stern facade was Noddick's gentle, affectionate touch. She was taken aback. So he just wanted to pat my head. He pinched her cheek. "What's this?" The endearing scene made her father hide his face. Ahem. Partly due to the shift in emotions, Lilith felt shy, which helped her open up more. "Is grandfather pinching my cheek?" She innocently said, "Grandpa, I'm Lilith. I'm 7 years old." She wanted to be closer to him. "Grandpa, it's so nice to meet you." The sense of distance in the house was gone. Sweet little Lilith hugged her dear grandfather. He softly replied, "That's right. I'm your grandfather." Adia and Lilith walked down the hallway. Adia spoke first. "Lilith, I'll introduce you to your cousins." Lilith asked, "My cousins?" Adia replied, "I have 2 sons. They're actually twins. They're a bit mischievous and worry me, but they're good boys. They've always wanted a little sister, so I'm sure they'll like you." Lilith realized, oh right, if they're aunt's sons, then they must be the heirs of Sanchez. She pictured 2 figures, backs to each other, swords raised. The twin heirs of the Duke Ance's family. They're Enoch Rubinstein's nephews. One will become a holy knight, and the other a magic swordsman. Adia grasped the doorknob. "Though, our Theo is a bit frail, so I worry about him." Lilith awkwardly replied, "Is that so?" Adia opened the door, leading her inside. She called out, "Boys, look who's here." Lilith's small face held a tinge of sadness. She pondered. In this novel, the characters sacrificed so much, and both of them would die. The image flashed in Lilith's mind. The twins were walking with Chester. They chatted cheerfully. The twins were among the few Chester, her father's adopted son, truly opened up to. So when the 2 he considered his own brothers, died, Chester nearly lost his mind. Snapping out of her thoughts, Lilith realized, regardless, they really were each other's copies. The twins stood before her, looking at the little girl. The older brother, enthusiastic, exclaimed, "Whoa, do you see?" The younger brother, more indifferent, questioned, "What's this?" "She's so small." They look exactly alike, don't they? It's embarrassing to admit, but when they really want to trick me, even I, their mother, can't tell them apart. The twins focused their attention on Lilith. Feeling the weight of their gazes, the little girl shyly clutched her dress. Adia introduced them. "Leon has just returned with your uncle, and this adorable little girl is your cousin. Her name is Lilith." The older brother cheerfully introduced himself. "Whoa, Lilith, nice to meet you. I'm Theo Andres, 12 years old." Lilith froze. So this was Theo. In the original story, he was the first to die. Next, the one destined to become a holy knight seemed a bit frail. In the story, Theo's personality was gentle and caring. He looked after Chester like a true brother. Theo died tragically in the spring after being knighted due to a rare congenital disease. According to the timeline, he had less than 4 years left. The little girl happily took Theo's hand. "Nice to meet you, big brother. I'm Lilith, 7 years old." Theo looked up at his mother. Adia smiled and nodded at her son. Theo patted Lilith's head and complimented her. Lilith basked in the attention. "Ah, so cute." Meanwhile, the younger brother clung to his mother's back. Adia prompted him, "Leon, say hello to Lilith too." Leon said dismissively, "She's so small. Doesn't look 7 at all." Theo retorted, "You were much shorter when you were 7, dummy." Gia Adia was taken aback by Leon's words. "What? Did you just call your little sister a dummy?" Adia quickly addressed Lilith. "Lilith, even though your brothers look identical, their personalities are completely opposite." Leon turned and walked away. Theo is gentle and kind, while Leon is mischievous and cheeky. Hearing his mother's description, Leon retorted, "What are you talking about?" And Leon received a knock on the head from Adia. Leon irritably rubbed the spot where his mother had hit him. Adia sighed, reminding him, "Behave yourself and speak politely. How many times have I told you? Girls won't like it if you keep acting like this." Remembering a previous incident, she quickly reprimanded Leon. It hasn't even been a few days since you scared Lady Ballerina with that giant spider. Do you want to be scolded again? Despite being scolded, he argued back. Lady Ballerina said she liked spiders, so I gave her one. Adia sighed at her son. She only said that because she wanted to be friends with you, not because she actually likes hairy spiders. All little ladies say that, you know? Leon remained sullen, showing no intention of heeding his mother's words. Lilith, watching their argument, thought to herself, raising boys is tiring. Seriously, Leon, the one who will become a magic swordsman. Very mischievous and has a habit of speaking without thinking. That's why he often argues with Chester. Leon glanced at Lilith. Of course, that wasn't his true feeling. No one cares about Chester more than Leon. Around episode 2, a large-scale monster extermination battle takes place. Leon sacrificed himself in that battle. He used his body to shield Chester when Chester was ambushed. That part was written incredibly heartbreakingly. He thought of that image, making the little girl melancholic. Her eyes reddened. I'm about to cry again. That makes him both a hero and a pitiful person. Lilith clung to Leon's sleeve and called him brother. I'm so happy to meet you, brother. Let's play together. We can go catch spiders together if you want. Yeah, hee. I like those big spiders too. The little girl smiled brightly, thinking to herself, I want to be closer to him. Leon said nothing, raising an eyebrow at Lilith, making her feel confused. Yeah, brother. He pinched her cheek. Lilith froze, letting him pinch her cheek. Suddenly, he ruthlessly pinched harder, making her wince in pain. She could only let out a few pained whimpers. Ouch, ouch. Everyone was bewildered by Leon's action. Za spoke up. Hey, no, Leon. Theo also said, Leon. Hey, Leon, why did you pinch her cheek so hard? Leon, startled, let go of her cheek. Her cheek was red and swollen, and tears rolled down her face. The little girl burst into tears. Her chubby face was now streaked with tears. What? Lilith thought resentfully, it really hurts, but I wasn't going to cry. Why is it like this? Right when I was feeling sad thinking about the events in the original story. Theo worriedly wiped away her tears and comforted her. Oh dear, it must hurt a lot, Lilith. Don't cry anymore. Leon, regretting his unconscious action, stammered He whispered the following words, I just thought you were cute. Gia, snapped from behind, quickly apologized to her. Lilith quickly defended Leon, and I'm okay. Leon looked down gloomily and said, I'm sorry. The little girl, her eyes brimming with tears, thought he looked so guilty. Lilith clasped her hands and pleaded, no, brother. I'm okay. It doesn't hurt at all. I'm sorry for suddenly crying like that. Lilith smiled and continued, but next time, please pinch my cheek a little more gently. Seeing her so cute made Leon's heart flutter a little. Leon turned away abruptly. Yeah, sure. Gia and Theo smiled at this. Lilith giggled too. The sun was setting, and it was time for dinner. Lilith was astonished, her eyes sparkling as she looked at the lavish feast before her. She marveled silently. Wow, this is so luxurious. She sat between Theo and Leon, preparing to eat. Is everything ready? A servant brought her a napkin. Please enjoy your meal, Miss and young masters. Gia sat opposite Lilith. Eat a lot, Lilith. The little girl quickly replied yes. But looking at the unfamiliar array of utensils for the meal made her sweat, silently pleading, there are so many utensils. I don't know where to start. What should I do? Lilith looked at Leon and imitated what he did. For now, I'll just follow Leon sitting next to me. Leon lifted his spoon, and she quickly picked hers up too. Then Gia said, oh my, he's here. The servant bowed. He entered, saying, that's right. He sat down at the table. Gia immediately asked, what about Enoch? He replied, he said he'll join us right after putting his things away. Let's eat first. After that statement, the entire room fell silent, making Lilith feel suffocated. So this is an aristocratic meal. I'm so worried that I can't even tell if the food is good or not. Grandfather, while eating, called out a name. Leon. The boy startled and quickly replied, yes, grandfather. Lilith also turned to listen. Grandfather spoke sternly. I heard that you caused trouble. Lilith, while eating, recalled the earlier conversation. Earlier, they were talking about a giant spider. It seems like the incident was bigger than expected. Grandfather continued, I've heard many stories about your mother causing trouble, but then I hear you're here causing chaos as well. I must tell you this. His words made the atmosphere at the table grow colder. You also bear the Ruby-style name. You're 12 years old now, so you should understand the weight of that name. Leon listened gloomily. Yes, sir. Grandfather reminded him, always consider your actions carefully to avoid trouble. Behave with proper etiquette. Don't do anything reckless. Maintain a demeanor worthy of being an example to others. Leon replied, yes, grandfather. Grandfather continued, I hope from now on, I won't hear of any more issues that tarnish the family's honor. Leon added, I apologize, sir. Listening to the conversation, Lilith acknowledged, grandfather is exactly like the principles he espouses. He's a perfect example of a true nobleman. He adheres to laws and rules as if his life depends on them, and he absolutely hates anything undignified. Because of this, she felt like crying. The servant brought out the steak, which she thought was perfectly timed. I've never learned anything about etiquette. This thought made the girl tear up. What am I supposed to eat this steak with? At this moment, Lilith looked at the cutlery on the table, crying inwardly. I've never learned about noble etiquette. What am I supposed to use to eat this steak now? She glanced around, wondering what to do. Maybe if I cheat a little, I'll have a chance. But before she could see anything, Leon, who was sitting next to her, noticed she hadn't eaten and spoke up, Why aren't you eating anything? And Theo, sitting beside them, also asked, Lilith, are you full already? She stammered, no, it's not like that. At this point, Gia also joined in, what's wrong? Lilith felt both the butler and grandfather looking at her. She felt everyone's attention on her, making her anxious. Why is the spotlight suddenly on me? How should I respond? Should I admit that I don't know table manners? Is that better than not saying anything? Both grandfather and aunt know I've never used these kinds of utensils before, but they've probably been worried a lot about father and me. If they witness my clumsiness, will they feel worse? She silently buried her face, crying. The two brothers seemed to understand her worries and nodded to each other. Just then, Enoch entered through the door, adjusting his bow tie. I'm late. Lilith, seeing him arrive, was overjoyed. Father's here. James Brown, my savior. Enoch, seeing her, said, Lilith, come eat with me. Gia suddenly exclaimed, Oh my God, Leon. Surprised, Lilith turned to look at Leon, wondering what's wrong. What happened? She saw Leon directly stab his fork into a piece of meat, lift it up, and bite into it. Gia scolded him. Why are you eating so rudely? Your sister is sitting right next to you. Beside them, there was the sound of a knife scraping against a plate, a deafening noise. She was also surprised. Theo, you too. Who taught you to use a knife so carelessly? Hold it properly. Grandfather remained silent, his face stern, watching the series of actions unfold. After cutting the meat into small pieces, Leon took Lilith's plate and replaced it with one already pre-sliced. Leon smiled. Here you go, Lilith. Eat. Lilith looked at the carefully cut meat with surprise. She looked at the plate on the table, deeply moved, her blue eyes sparkling. She thought to herself, these two children are so thoughtful. She sat happily between her two brothers. They were truly good older brothers. Enoch looked at her with a gentle smile. Meanwhile, Adia, beside her, frowned at her brother's actions. Why are you two behaving like this? Do you want to be scolded? Adia looked towards their grandfather, who was calmly cutting the meat on his plate. Father, I apologize. I should have. Before she could finish her sentence, her grandfather interrupted. Enough. Adia looked at him anxiously. Yes, sir. He brought a piece of meat to his mouth. Eat. She obeyed and put the meat in her mouth. As she ate, her eyes teared up. This is so wonderful. She looked towards her father, who was sitting opposite her, resting his chin on his hand and smiling at her. Suddenly, he turned to her and asked, Is it good? She happily replied, Yes, grandfather, it's very, very good. He looked at her thoughtfully for a moment, then simply said, Good. Eat a lot. It's getting late. The palace, sparkling under the starlight, looked more magnificent than ever. Her father led her into a room filled with adorable toys. She was delighted when she saw them. Enoch turned to her and asked, Do you like it? She ran towards her father and replied, Yes. Then Lilith climbed onto the bed. Wow, the bed is so soft and comfortable. Enoch laid down beside her and soothed her, There, little princess. Do you remember the boy we met in the alley earlier? Oh, yes. Enoch continued, Father will go find that boy right away. I'll soon locate him. And when I find where he lives, let's go ask him if he needs any help, okay? She looked at him cheerfully. Yes, thank you, Father. But there's no need to rush. She thought to herself, I was just thinking about that. But it's a shame, but for the time being, no matter what Father does, it will be difficult to find Chester. She pictured Jessica's face from earlier, a face covered in wounds, red eyes, and black hair. His expression was cold and emotionless. We met by chance earlier. Things like that won't happen twice. By principle, Father and he won't see each other again for another 2 years. She thought about her father. Currently, Chester is being kept hidden and raised in the Onyx Mansion. Meanwhile, after returning after 7 years, Father is still unfamiliar with the workings of the capital. He's not the type to ask for help from illegal organizations operating in the underworld to search for someone. Enoch looked at his daughter, who was lost in thought, and eyed her suspiciously. James Brown remained silent. She turned to Enoch and hugged his large frame. Perhaps I'll have to help. I'm going to sleep now, father. Don't worry too much. She smiled to herself. Your daughter will take care of everything. The next morning, warm sunlight streamed into Lady Lily's mansion. The butler smiled as he called her over to introduce two new maids. These are the maids who will be taking care of you. Mississippi Lily's personal maids are Jetty and June. The butler continued, the young master will be confined from today. Or rather, he won't leave his study. Will you be all right, miss? She brightened considerably. Yes, ma'am. Hands on her hips. She declared confidently, of course. Father must be very busy with his responsibilities as head of the household, after being away for 7 years. I understand completely. Seeing her quiet contemplation, the butler smiled and continued the introductions. Jetty and June are both very experienced. They were selected from a pool of 50 applicants to become your personal maids. Jetty stepped forward, beaming at Lilith. That's right. I'm Jetty, she announced. I earned the position as your personal maid by winning competitions in bathwater temperature regulation, painting, and snack making. I'm extremely proud of it. She then moved aside to stand next to June, and I are sisters. I'm the older sister. Lilith paused, a thoughtful expression on her face. They had competitions for those things. Really? Before Lilith could fully process this, June stepped forward. I am Yunya. I hold the record for 47 push-ups, 55 sit-ups, and a 3-meter long jump. Top scores among all the maids. You could trust that I will serve you wholeheartedly. Lilith pondered the seemingly unusual selection criteria for her maids. Why are those skills necessary for taking care of a 7-year-old? She pushed the thought aside and bowed politely. It's a pleasure to meet you both, Jetty and June. The two maids were taken aback by her politeness. Oh my goodness, miss. Hello, Lilith greeted them. Unable to resist, they scooped her up. Miss, how can you be so small and adorable? Look at those chubby cheeks, like little dumplings. They're just too cute. The butler intervened, stopping their affectionate display. All right, that's enough, ladies. Let's conclude the introductions. He cleared his throat. Now, we will inform you of your schedule for today. The master has requested we begin your education immediately. Your tutor will arrive at 10 a.m. Lilith looked up at the butler, thinking, it seems they feel guilty about making me start lessons the day after I arrived in the capital. But this is exactly what I want. Her enthusiasm returned, her face alight with anticipation. Yes, sir, I can study. I'm very good at it. I'll do my best. The butler, touched by her eagerness, dabbed at a happy tear. Oh my, you remind me so much of a young master when he was your age. Today is just the first day, mainly introductions. It won't be too difficult. A little while later, it was time for her lesson. Now look here, there are 2 apples, right? But then 2 more apples appear, like this. So now there are 4 apples. Her mathematics tutor was Baroness Lena. 2 times 2 equals 4. Lilith's face fell, and she forced a strained smile as she clapped. I'm this age, and I'm learning elementary level multiplication. The Baroness conjured 2 more apples. Now, if 2 more apples appear, so they appear 3 times, how many apples will there be? Leon quickly answered, 2 times 3 is 6, ma'am. Baroness Lena corrected him. Young master, please let Miss Lilith answer. You already know this, don't you? Enoch chimed in. That's right, Leon. Don't interrupt while Lilith is learning. Lilith sighed, listlessly working out the multiplication problems in front of her. I can understand studying etiquette and liberal arts, as they are necessary, but sitting through elementary school math is a different story entirely. But while she was lost in thought, the ruler was placed on her paper. Is it too difficult for you? Yes. Why don't you try it? It's okay if you make a mistake. Just think about it. Leon turned to her. Hey, kid, want me to tell you the answer? Baroness Lena snapped at Leon angrily. Young master, you can't do that. Leon, I told you not to interfere. Her face fell, filled with worry. Her eyes squeezed shut. I don't have time for this. I need to find Jessica as soon as possible. She pictured him locked up in a dark place, his face etched with sadness. The faint moonlight seemed like a salvation for the imprisoned man. Considering the age difference with father, Chester is 11 years old. That means he's endured 2 years of abuse in Marquis Onyx's house. Her face tensed, her eyes determined. No, this won't do. I need to help father find Jessica sooner. To do that, she thought of a familiar figure. I need to find someone. The future head of the Information Guild. The one who will become father's ally in the future. If I can find that person first and bring them to our side, not only will rescuing Chester be easier, but everything else will go much more smoothly. But she was stuck with the task in front of her. But to meet that person, I have to get out. But this 7-year-old body is too much of a hindrance. And I'm stuck doing math in the study. I've already memorized the entire multiplication table. Lost in thought, Baroness Lena called to her hesitantly. Mississippi startled. She looked up. Yes. How did you do that? She panicked, breaking out in a sweat. I'm sorry. Her brothers, seeing this, crowded around, surprised, looking at the paper she had written on. Wow, kid, you're really smart. Only then did she notice what she had written. I wrote the entire multiplication table up to 19. Lilith gasped, remembering she was still a child. A flicker of fear ran through her. Oh no, this is bad. Her face paled with fear. How do I get out of this situation? A 7-year-old writing the 19 times table. But then she realized something. Wait a minute. Maybe the situation isn't so bad after all. There are children who are good at mental arithmetic, right? I'll quickly finish these basic classes and reduce wasted time so I can help father sooner. Suddenly, Lilith raised both hands in excitement. Teacher, did I do it right? The teacher's face was full of surprise. Correct. Then, adjusting her glasses, she said in a serious tone, how did you do that? Lilith gave a strained smile. You explained it so well, so I was able to do it. The teacher, hearing this, became flustered. No, I didn't teach you anything. Lilith continued to smile brightly and said excitedly, if 2 apples appear 3 times, there will be 6. Thank you for teaching me. The teacher said worriedly, but I didn't teach you that if 19 apples appear 9 times, the total will be 171. Hearing this, Lilith cried out, Teacher. Inside, Lilith was panicking. Just let it go. She forced a smile. You said that after multiplication comes division, right? The teacher, astonished, listened to her. This is so much fun. Please teach me more. The teacher finally calmed down and thought for a moment. Then, the teacher put her hands on the table, her face full of excitement. I believe the Duchess is a once-in-a-millennium genius. Without a doubt, a rare talent. Lilith's 2 cousins reacted. What? Lilith, what do you mean, rare talent? The teacher, growing more and more excited, grasped Lilith's hands. Duchess, she said with enthusiasm, from now on, I will do everything in my power to support your studies. Lilith could only offer an awkward smile. At the time, I didn't realize that this action would lead to a great disaster later on. The scene changes to a large building in the city. Lilith is sitting inside, eating cake with a blissful expression. Theo asked, is it that good, Lilith? Lilith, holding her cheeks with a look of pure happiness, replied, yes, it's the best. Theo, feeding her another bite, said, here, try this one too, Lilith. Lilith happily accepted the offered cake. Leon, also feeding her, said, try this one, little one. Seeing her enjoy the cake so much, he laughed. So cute. She's just like a little squirrel. The white-haired lady, observing them, said cheerfully, she looks so adorable when she eats so well. She then reminded Lilith, remember to eat slowly or you'll get a stomachache. Lilith, still happily eating, replied, yes, ma'am. Lilith thought to herself, filled with happiness, being able to eat these expensive macarons. This is heaven. Just then, a carriage arrived from outside. The white-haired lady stood up. Isn't that Baroness Ballerina? The 2 cousins were surprised. Erica's here too. Miss Erica. Leon hid behind Lilith. What's wrong, brother? He asked. Leon, clinging to Lilith, said fearfully, it's her. This is so annoying. Lilith, looking perplexed, asked what's going on. Theo, sitting beside them, said with a wry smile, Leon doesn't really like Erica. Theo continued to explain to Lilith, a few days ago, when she came to visit, Leon tried to scare her with a giant spider. Erica got hurt, and Mother scolded him. Lilith finally understood Leon's fear. So Erica was the victim of the giant spider incident. A moment later, Erica cheerfully ran in, calling out to Leon in a sweet voice. Leon, his face pale, looked at her and held Lilith tighter. Erica, seeing this, froze for a moment. Her expression suddenly darkened. What's going on here? She asked coldly. Leon. At this point, Erica suddenly became angry. Who is this girl? Lilith, terrified, paled. She thought to herself. The atmosphere suddenly turned into some kind of lover's quarrel. Erica angrily shouted, who is this girl? Leon coldly replied, what do you care? Lilith, seeing his reaction, became even more frightened. She thought fearfully, no, why is he talking like that? This isn't some romantic scene between a middle-aged couple. At that moment, the white-haired lady approached. She said gently, Erica, how's your injury? Are you feeling better? Seeing her, Erica's demeanor changed instantly. She smiled brightly and replied, yes, ma'am, I'm much better. But who is this girl? The lady replied, she's Leon's cousin. Erica looked surprised. Really? Yes. And Duke Rubenstyle is probably on his way here. Is it true he's returned? The white-haired lady asked with a gentle smile. That's right, just yesterday. Erica placed her hand on her chest, sighing in relief. Well, you should have told me right away, ma'am. A moment later, Erica ran over, pushed Leon aside, and said with a bright smile, it's a pleasure to meet you. You're the Duke's daughter. You look as lovely as an angel. She continued, still smiling, you startled me. I almost got jealous. I'm Erica Ballerina, and I'm 12 years old. Lilith gave a small smile and replied softly, I'm Lilith Ruby Style, and I'm 7 years old. You're as beautiful as a princess. Erica, flattered by the compliment, happily exclaimed, oh, really? She shyly covered her face and said, thank you. Then she added, and another thing, I've sworn to spend my whole life with Leon. Hearing this, Leon angrily shouted, are you crazy? Who decided that? Ignoring him, Erica continued to smile and talk to Lilith. We'll be family, so you can call me Big Sister. Let's talk casually like close friends, okay? Leon stood beside them, fearfully saying, seriously, I don't like this at all. Meanwhile, Lilith thought to herself with exasperation. She sees Leon as a suitable partner, not Theo. Does Erica like bad boys? That evening, inside the mansion, Enoch ran from outside directly to Lilith's room. He flung the door open and shouted with a worried expression, my princess. He rushed over and hugged her tightly, rubbing his cheek against hers with a sad expression. Lilith chuckled helplessly and said, honestly, father, the door is going to fall off soon. Still holding her tightly, he said, my dear. Lilith asked softly, have you had dinner, father? Enoch replied gently, what time is it? I ate earlier. Relieved, Lilith said cheerfully, good. I'm glad you didn't skip a meal. I went out and ate something delicious with Baroness Lena and my brothers. We went to the tailor to get my measurements taken and order some clothes. She bought me 10 outfits. Hearing this, Enoch laughed heartily. Do you like them? Lilith replied excitedly, yes. She even bought me a princess dress. He looked at Lilith and said, wait a moment. Then, lying down beside her and placing his hand on her, he asked, you studied all day today, right? Lilith cheerfully replied, not all day, just until about 3 p.m. His expression suddenly turned worried. No, my princess, you can still play. You can also make time to study. Is playing until you're bored more fun than studying? Not at all. Enoch looked at her worriedly and asked again, really? Lilith maintained her cheerful demeanor. Really? If I find it too difficult or boring, I'll tell you. But it's actually very enjoyable. Enoch smiled gently. I understand. He placed his hand on his chin and said, actually, your math tutor said you're a genius. But I already knew that. Lilith was startled by this. She chuckled awkwardly and said, really? She felt a little embarrassed to be praised for solving elementary school math problems. But if you like it. Enoch hugged her and said happily, who does my daughter take after? Who is she so smart like? Lilith beamed and replied, I take after you. Enoch laughed happily at her response. Suddenly, Lilith asked, were you very busy today, father? You've worked hard. Enoch looked at her, smiling happily. It's nothing. Our genius daughter is working hard her studies, so I can't just sit around and do nothing. Lilith was now overjoyed, thinking, I don't feel too bad for making father proud of me. She thought of the words genius and felt incredibly happy. A genius. I'm a genius. This is fun. But by the next day, her thoughts had completely changed. Genius. I want to take that back. Lilith looked at the newly invited tutor and thought helplessly, actually, I'm not a genius at all. The new tutor smiled brightly and introduced himself. It's an honor to meet you, Mississippi. I am Robert Queen, a member of the Department of Magical Talent. You may call me Robert. Yes, Lilith replied, her face pale. Enoch looked at her and said gently, Lilith, don't worry too much. Just answer his questions comfortably. But Enoch still encouraged her. If you don't know, just say you don't know. He recalled the previous incident when her tutor came to see him. Duke, it's truly embarrassing, but I don't have the ability to teach the princess. Enoch, hearing this, replied awkwardly, my daughter isn't that brilliant, is she? The tutor, hearing him, became very excited. The princess is truly a genius. A true genius. At this point, she showed him Lilith's tests. When children show exceptional abilities in subjects like mathematics, they are recruited by the Tower for gifted education early on. When Enoch met Duke Ruby Style, he said very seriously, I've contacted the Tower. I will personally verify Lilith's abilities. Enoch said worriedly, Father, didn't you ask Lilith about this? You didn't even discuss it with me. He continued, this is just a simple aptitude test. Whether she goes to the Tower or not is her decision. At this point, his tone suddenly became more resolute. But if the results are good, it will give you peace of mind knowing she'll work at the Tower in the future. Enoch, hearing this, remained silent, thinking gloomily, that's not a lie. In the Pavilion Empire, all highly capable individuals are required to enlist in the military. But the Tower's researchers are at the bottom of the enlistment list. They only enlist if the Empire collapses. Otherwise, they'll never have to participate in bloody wars. After a moment of silence, Enoch spoke up. For now, I'll ask Lilith for her opinion. Lilith returned to the present. Duke Ruby Style turned to her and asked, are you nervous? Just do as you did yesterday, study with the tutors. Lilith nodded, but inside, she was extremely anxious. I shouldn't have been so obvious. This whole thing blew up because of math. When casting spells, formulas are used. And the people who create those formulas are the researchers at the tower. They have one thing in common. They are all mathematical prodigies. Mathematics is the underlying principle behind the magic circle. That's why the tower seeks out children who are good at math and supports gifted education at a young age. Thinking about this, Lilith sighed. I knew this. I memorized the entire world settings in principle, but I didn't anticipate this problem. Genius. I'm more like an idiot. Robert now looked behind him and said, and over there is. Robert looked at Oscar sitting on the chair and said, as you know, that's Oscar Manuel. He's the youngest tower master in history. Lilith was astonished. Oscar Manuel, to meet such an important figure so early. This truly is the butterfly effect, because just by doing some multiplication and division, Tower Master. Oscar is actually an enemy. When Father was preparing for the uprising and recruiting, high-ranking ability users, nobles, and even politicians sided with him. Lilith glanced at him, thinking to herself, however, Father couldn't win over the tower. Oscar helped my father until the very end. If Father had been able to control the tower, where this man plays a crucial role, the uprising might have happened 3 years earlier. But does that mean Oscar supports the kingdom? Her expression became serious. No, even if I've read all the principles, I still can't understand his motives. Lilith picked up the pen on the table, thinking, I've decided. I'll pretend to be a prodigy and build a connection with the tower to win Oscar over to our side. She walked up to the board and started solving the problems, thinking, all right, this feels better. I'll solve the problems from yesterday's lesson. Robert watched in astonishment. That's amazing. Enoch scratched his head sheepishly. My daughter truly is a genius. Suddenly, Oscar spoke up. Are you kidding me? Robert looked at him, confused. Yes, sir. Oscar stood with his arms crossed, a frown on his face. Did I come here just to watch a child play with toys? Robert became even more flustered. No, sir. I apologize. Oscar looked at him coldly. Make sure to test her thoroughly. Robert, worried, agreed. Yes, sir. He went to the board and wrote down different math problems. Lilith looked at them, thinking helplessly, what is this? Staring at the problems, she thought angrily, are you asking a 7-year-old to solve linear equations? She turned to look at Oscar, who crossed his arms and said with a smirk, try it. Lilith's face paled. I wasn't planning on being able to solve it, but this is insane. This man must be living in his own world, obsessed with being a genius. After a moment of silence, she shook her head. I don't know. Oscar tilted his head, his brow furrowed. You don't know. I don't know, Lilith repeated, feigning sadness. Robert consoled her. Princess, there's no need to be upset. Even the prodigies recruited by the tower can't solve this at the age of 7. Enoch picked her up, smiling brightly. That's right, my little princess. You did great. This problem is too difficult. Our princess is so smart. Lilith smiled. Yes, Grandpa. Her other grandfather patted her head. Good job, Lilith. Yes, Grandpa. Oscar suddenly scratched his head and sighed. Another waste of time on a fool. Enoch's face darkened. Lilith thought worriedly, oh no, here it comes. Enoch followed Oscar, his voice cold. Hold it right there. Oscar stopped. Enoch stood before him, his face angry. What did you just say? Oscar replied calmly. I said I just wasted my time on a fool. Enoch gave a cold laugh. He gritted his teeth in anger. Apologize to my daughter right now. Oscar remained confident. You should apologize to me for wasting my precious time. You've cost me 1 hour and 37 minutes. Hearing him say that, Enoch immediately retorted, who told you to come? It's unnecessary for the tower master himself to show up. You came here on your own accord. Before he could finish, Oscar interrupted. I was just curious. After all, she's Enoch Rubystyle's daughter. He continued, but it seems that little girl is no different from other disappointing children. Hey, Enoch angrily retorted. When I was 7, I couldn't even do what my daughter just did. Who can solve that problem at her age? Oscar raised his hand and confidently said me. Precisely when I was 7. Enoch fell silent for a moment, then angrily said, apologize. Oscar frowned slightly and coldly replied, I refuse. Enoch looked as if he wanted to jump in and attack him. He furiously shouted, do you have any manners? At this moment, Duke Rubystyle grabbed his arm and stopped him. He then calmly said, Tower Master, I was the one who contacted you about my granddaughter. It's a shame she didn't meet your expectations. Let's consider this matter closed. Let's end it here today. Oscar crossed his arms and said with a contemptuous look, oh, really? Oscar continued to insult them. It seems Noddick has gotten old, hasn't he? Where's the sharp judgment I used to respect? Hearing this, Enoch grew even angrier. He yelled, Tower Master. If Duke Rubystyle hadn't held him back, he probably would have lunged at Oscar. Meanwhile, Lilith clenched her dress tightly, thinking, control yourself, control yourself. Don't show it, Lilith. She was trying to restrain herself in the face of this anger. Nothing good will come of it. Please, it's okay. I have to control myself. Am I really going to let the person who dared to insult my grandfather leave so easily? Oscar said mockingly while waving his hand dismissively. We will welcome your return. Your daughter is just one of the mediocre ones in this field. Don't dream. Lilith, just focus on rebuilding the family you left behind for 7 years and pass it down to the next generation. Hearing this, Lilith's last thread of reason seemed to snap. He really had to go that far. Suddenly, Lilith spoke up, I'll solve it. Oscar's face showed no surprise. What? Lilith gestured and said with determination, give me 5 more minutes. I'll retake the test. Oscar looked at her skeptically. Really? Lilith saw his questioning look and replied, yes. If I answer correctly, you'll have to apologize to my grandfather and father for being rude. Oscar was silent for a moment, then laughed and said, all right, go ahead. Enoch walked over worriedly and said, Lilith, father's princess doesn't need to push herself too hard. Lilith was completely focused, thinking hard. Not long after, she opened her eyes, her gaze full of determination. Her father and grandfather were a little surprised by her expression. Oscar's expression also changed. A moment later, she finally finished the problem. Lilith placed the chalk on the table and looked at Oscar. Tower Master, you're 17. Looking at her solution, he said, I apologize. I've been completely defeated. He bowed deeply before Enoch and Lilith. I sincerely apologize for offending you both. Seeing Oscar like this, Lilith couldn't help but think, he was so rude just now, but why is he so serious now? I thought he would stomp his feet in frustration. But what was with the madness in his eyes? He spoke sternly. I have a proposition regarding your niece's education. She paled at his words. Just as I thought. He must be a wild card in the mansion where she lives. Sitting at her desk, she absent-mindedly recalled her life. What have I done? After that, Oscar had dinner with us, and he offered to personally tutor me. Of course, because the opportunity presented itself, and I wanted to recruit him, so I agreed. She was anxious and dejected, but in trying to force the issue, I only made things worse. Lost in thought, she was startled when Oscar opened the door and walked in. Oh, Lilith exclaimed in surprise. Startled, he clutched his stomach and relaxed. Thanks for the meal. Sitting down, he looked at her anxiously. Hold on, what's wrong? For some reason, he looked like a different person. Oscar calmly summoned sheets of paper from thin air. Let's study a bit more. Watching the papers slowly float down, Lilith couldn't help but be amazed. Seeing her like that, he smirked. Pretty cool, right? She stared intently. Yes. Then Oscar began his lesson. Every space has coordinates. To create a magic formula, you need to know how to express the concept of space mathematically. Lilith was incredibly enthusiastic. So expressing space mathematically, it means you need a general understanding of the concept of vectors, a part of advanced natural science education, to be able to create magic formulas. After considering it, she concluded, magic is quite systematic, isn't it? Oscar casually wrote on the paper, do you know about numbers smaller than 0? She was a little surprised. There are numbers smaller than 0. He pushed the paper with the equation towards her. Solve it yourself. She hesitated. I guess I'll just pretend. Thinking for a moment, she wrote down the answer. It seems like he's trying to teach me the concept of negative numbers. Oscar watched Lilith intently. He suddenly muttered small. She was surprised. Excuse me, what's small? The number, he said gently. No, I'm talking about you. She froze. Yes, he said she was small. A 7-year-old being that small was a bit unusual. Lilith was terrified, her face paling. Deep down, she thought the same. She was smaller than her peers, and there was a reason behind it. She trembled, holding the pen. She was incredibly worried. He doesn't know something, does he? Oscar shrugged helplessly. Maybe it's because you don't eat enough to grow. Oscar Manuel, a character she had read enough about to remember his principles, but still couldn't understand. She remained lost in thought. Was he talking nonsense, or did he really know her secret? She didn't know. Yes, she replied to move past it. Well, then I'll eat a lot from now on. He seemed satisfied. That's right, eat a lot. You need to eat well and grow up fast if you want to work with me. Lilith countered, but I'm not coming to the magic tower. He responded enthusiastically. Working at the magic tower would be more convenient for you. She agreed in the face of his excitement. Well, then I'll think about it. That night, Lilith's mansion was shrouded in darkness. Fragments of memories surfaced where she was scrutinized by others. Are you really 7 years old? You're smaller than other children your age, aren't you? I was once your age, but you're so small, you idiot. Actually, when I still thought I was a side character, I assumed I was just developing slower than others. But it turns out there's a reason for this slow development. Thinking about this, she didn't anxiously ask if I was the main character's child. It goes without saying, but I'm not an ordinary person. Lilith Rubinstein, kidnapped by the royal family. This pitiful supporting character dies later on, and that's eventually revealed. But the truth is, back in the present, her affectionate father stroked Lilith's head. My genius princess, it's time for bed. She felt a little embarrassed. Please don't call me a genius anymore. He laughed heartily. Why not, my little one? Enoch, overjoyed, hugged her tightly. My daughter was the best today. Did you see grandfather smile? It reached all the way to his ears. He lay down next to Lilith, yawning. I always tell your father not to act recklessly, but today he was the overexcited one. The little girl gently tucked Enoch in. If you're tired, father, you should go to sleep. He then asked, what's wrong, princess? Can't you sleep? The little girl didn't hesitate. Princess has something to think about. Enoch sat up, searching for something in the bedside table drawer. I guess you're not sleepy after all. Do you want me to read you a story? All right, let's see. Today's story is... He held up the book, The Princess Trapped in a Tower. She feigned enthusiasm for his sake. Sounds fun. Ever since I remembered my past life, bedtime stories have become rather dull. Enoch picked her up and began to narrate. But wait, our Lilith is trapped in a tower. What happened? Let's find out. Father loves reading to me, so I always patiently listen. Enoch continued enthusiastically. Once upon a time, there was a kind king and a princess. The king loved his daughter, the princess, very much. Lilith cheerfully added, just like you and me. That's right, he agreed. Continuing the story. One day, when the princess was 7 years old, the evil king of the neighboring country kidnapped her. The good king, after losing his daughter, cried every day. The good king offered his treasures to the evil king and became his servant. But even so, the evil king didn't return the princess. Lilith, hearing this, was astonished. Huh? While she was lost in thought, Enoch exclaimed angrily, oh my, how could they separate the two of them like that? How cruel. She forced a smile. Yes, it is. Inwardly, she was panicking. Wait a minute. What's this? This story sounds familiar. The good king, overcoming his grief, met a young boy. The boy was very strong. So, one day in the future, when the boy reunites with the princess, he can become a precious older brother. The good king adopted the boy as his son. Lilith was taken aback. Wait a minute. Yes, he asked, bewildered. She quickly explained, oh, it's nothing. I'm just happy. Please continue reading. Father. He agreed, right? The story is getting more exciting, isn't it? The story continued. And then, one day, the evil king brought news that the princess had fallen ill and died. Enoch couldn't bear it anymore and slammed the book shut. Why did the princess die? What kind of story is this? Lilith stopped him. Please keep reading, Father. She tried to persuade him. The evil king might have lied, right? The princess might not actually be dead. Enoch considered this and agreed. You're right. It's a story about a princess. She can't just die. He turned the pages and continued reading. The good king was furious. He decided to take revenge with the prince. She sat listening absent-mindedly. The good king and the prince defeated all the villains from the terrible kingdom, and finally, they captured the evil king. Together, they pointed their swords at him. Yes, these scenes. Watching her father diligently narrating and acting it out. I will avenge my daughter. She felt a pang of sorrow. It was a scene I was all too familiar with. Lilith appeared in the sky. While her captor, she was lying under Enoch's blade. He chuckled. Enoch Ruby-style this matter. You think it will be as easy as you wish. He was astonished to see his daughter after so many years apart. Her platinum blonde hair fluttered in the wind. He was moved. Lilith, in Lilith's memories, to bring back his kidnapped daughter. Enoch Rubinstein participated in countless battles. When he realized his kidnapped daughter was dead, his blade turned and pointed at the emperor. Enoch gripped the hilt of his sword to keep himself from collapsing. His daughter had a hidden identity, and the emperor, who realized this early on, hid and exploited her power. The brainwashed girl began to kill innocent people indiscriminately. Enoch Rubinstein wanted to help his daughter wake up, but couldn't find a way. A young man stood before him with blazing red eyes. The one who stopped her was. Back to the present. After finishing the story, he was dissatisfied. Folding this. Is this a fairy tale for children? She innocently asked why. What's wrong? He replied, the ending isn't very good. I think we shouldn't read it. He continued to complain to Lilith. From now on, I'll read through the story before reading it to you. The content is too toxic. I'm sorry, my little princess. She spoke up, but it's still a happy ending. Enoch was surprised. What? Where's the happy ending? The little girl explained, if the princess hadn't been kidnapped, the good king wouldn't have taken revenge on the evil king, right? In the end, the good kingdom defeated the evil kingdom, so everyone is happy, right? Enoch and Lilith disagreed. The two of them began to argue. You think so, but the princess sacrificed herself. There's no other way. The princess was brainwashed by the evil king, and she also killed a lot of people. He was exasperated, but because the princess died, it can't be a happy ending. She retorted, is a happy ending. It will bounce back. No, it's not. Listen, the main character is the good king, right? She replied, yes. He explained to Lilith, the main character's beloved daughter died, right? So even if everyone else is happy, the main character isn't, right? The little girl said apathetically, I guess so. He looked at her with a sad face. If the main character isn't happy, then it's not a happy ending. Lilith, how can a father who lost his daughter be happy? So this isn't a happy ending. She looked at Enoch and spoke, not asking, surprised. Her clear eyes momentarily held a multitude of emotions. The original story definitely had a happy ending. After Chester defeated Enoch Ruby-style's daughter, it It ended with the scene of a new, peaceful empire being born. Lilith looked at her father worriedly. After the principle of the ending, what happened to the father who lived in the peaceful country built on his daughter's grave? Was the main character happy? Hearing her call him, the good king turned around. Father, Lilith immediately said, suppose. If you were the good king and I was the princess, how would you live after I died? He looked at her, silent, as if he already had an answer. He hugged his little daughter tightly. What do you mean? How would I live? I wouldn't be able to live anymore. She was a little surprised. Really? Enoch continued. Perhaps the good king would think the same way. When he believed the princess was dead, he didn't die immediately. Perhaps because he had decided to take his own life after taking revenge. Lilith was startled. What? What do you mean? What if he died too? He comforted her. You'll understand after you have children. You'll feel the same way. Enoch gently kissed Lilith's forehead. If I missed my little princess, I'd rather follow her. I couldn't live without my little princess. His words frightened her even more. No, look at my face, be happy. He looked at her with amusement. Don't worry, this is just a fairy tale. From the beginning, I didn't lose my little princess. She looked at him helplessly as he beamed. But I should have, if everything happened according to the rules. Enoch grew more excited as he spoke. And even if I lost you, I wouldn't be stupid enough to become a subordinate of the evil king. I would charge right in and rescue the princess. She despaired. It wouldn't be that easy. From inside the room, a voice called out, "We have a question." He responded enthusiastically. What is it? We were talking. Don't all ability users have to go to the battlefield when the Emperor commands it? Oh yes, that's right. She continued to question him. But didn't you say yesterday that I didn't have to go? That's right. Our princess doesn't have to go anywhere. Why? I'm your daughter. Shouldn't I go if I'm a strong ability user? He reassured her, no, you don't have to go. I have my own way. Lilith pressed further. What does that mean? Enoch, not letting her say more, hugged her. It's nothing. I am sleepy. Looking at her father holding her, she pouted and grumbled, though he couldn't hear. I can guess your plan. You'll soon go see the Emperor alone. And I'm 99.9% sure you'll ask him to exempt me from military service. The card you'll play in your negotiations with the Emperor is too obvious. From now on, you'll become his obedient dog, following his every command. Thinking about it, she felt a little sad. The good king has no choice but to obey the evil king, because the main character has a weakness, his daughter. Even if I wasn't kidnapped by the Emperor, you still wouldn't be free. You'll negotiate with the Emperor, so I don't have to go to the battlefield. Lilith felt sorry for her father. The good king will eventually become a pawn of the evil king, and fight as an upright man who hates the tyrannical rule of the empire and its meaningless wars. Father, the main character, is an upright man who hates the tyrannical rule of the empire and its wars of conquest. But seeing Lilith's sadness, Enoch said, you know, I can do anything for my little princess. That's right. You're someone who would raise your sword for me. Her head was filled with her father's warm words. If the main character isn't happy, then it's not a happy ending. Lilith, I can't live without my little princess. I was wrong to think that the daughter was just a catalyst to start the story, living like a puppet in the Emperor's hands. His decision for revenge. Ultimately, his successful rebellion. Every action father took had a purpose, and that purpose was me. I've almost figured it all out. The original story, which I thought had a happy ending, turned out to be a tragedy for the main character, who lost their purpose. I'm saddened by the ending in the original. Perhaps father followed the same path. So, what I need to do is not just help father achieve a peaceful ending like in the original. I have to survive. I'm determined to stay by father's side, safely, no matter what happens. After the original's ending for the main character, Enoch Ruby Styles' happy ending, she looked at her father, moved. I have to help father somehow. She told him, me too. I could do anything for you, father. In the kingdom where the female lead resides, there exists an entity that governs those who wield abilities, classifying them into 6 ranks. The highest rank, Dos, and then Quado, Septima, Octava, Noveno, and finally the lowest rank, Dis. The existence of Primera is the source of all magic, a being closest to divinity, an omnipotent existence. Therefore, a Primera is only born once per generation. Since the Empire's founding, only the Pavilion royal family has produced a Primera. That is the Emperor's rank. The current Emperor, ruling the kingdom, was furious, shattering a wine glass upon hearing that the second prince's rank was determined to be Quado. He raged, clenching his fist. Why wasn't a Primera born? The Emperor had 14 children, yet no Primera had appeared. The continued absence of a Primera caused anxiety among the people. He sat on his throne and asked his attendant, "You don't think one will never be born, do you?" The attendant bowed low. "Please do not worry, Your Majesty." He continued, "Your Majesty, you are still young and healthy. Surely, you will produce a Primera." This, then, is the portrait of the Emperor of the Pavilion Empire, Nicola von Pavilion, age 48.